Hey guys, it's Dark Siege, and I wanted to make this video, and I don't think anybody else has yet, but either way, here we go. How to figure out who to pair with a siege commander if it's not as a ranged commander, right? Like you can use leadership, infantry, cavs, like just fill in the blank, right? How do you know which skills work and which don't and which are good pairs? Well, let me show you how to figure it out. And hopefully this will help you in the future. Okay, first of all, I'm telling you, these are not meta pairings. These are pairings that need to be explored, and I couldn't tell you what's better than something else right now. I think that's something that over time I want to explore, but I want to give this initial information that'll help people, and I'm sure a lot of people have done certain things, and maybe I'll get some feedback about how this works for certain pairings. But please like and subscribe. It really helps as a new content creator. So let's go. Here's the topics we're going to talk about. The V formation limitations, how to tell which skills work, how to read a battle log, reference this, possible commanders, leadership, museum buffs, and my thoughts on these siege pairings, which kind of already told you. V formation. Okay, let's look at the first one where it says YSG. A non-siege engineering commander. It has a different description than if you look on the other side where it has the V formation. Okay, look at the YSG side. And really, if where it says replace underneath, I kind of highlighted what I thought was important there. Only commanders with engineering talent tag, which is in red right there, can use their active skills, right? What that's telling you is if you're not an engineer commander, your active skills will not work. And then when you look at the other side, where it has a siege commander, it says this troop can switch to range mode, one basic attack per second, and if you're in war frenzy, they'll do automatic attacks, right? Two different skill explanations because they're telling you if you're not range, you're not getting the benefit of this, which they didn't used to have in the beginning, at least not that I know of. I think this has been in place for a while. I don't think people really ever really checked. Okay, this is the meat and potatoes of it. This is what I figured out so far. It has two conditions. One, what's going to work, it has to be a passive skill, right? Active skills will not work. The second thing, it can't have any other requirements or conditions for the most part. What I've kind of found too is if it's an epic commander, it might break the rule a little bit because I don't think they went back that far, or maybe they didn't care. Under no other requirements or conditions, basically, if it has to launch, uses, hit, heal, take damage, like if that's in the description of the passive skill, it's typically not going to work. Also, your skill 1 where it says, oh, it has, AoE damage, or it takes extra damage, or does this or that, doesn't work. Oddly enough, though, the poison commander, not Herman, the female one, that worked once before when I tried it. So just FYI. Okay, tangent. So let's go ahead, and I'm going to go through Barca, YSG, and Alex because they have these skill descriptions that I'd like to go over with you. All right, let's pop over there. Okay, the first thing I did is I ran Margaret by herself. And I use T4s. That doesn't matter, but it's just quicker. And this is how you tell when skills work or not, right? The first thing you could, depending on the commander, you go to troop buffs, okay? And when I'm dealing with siege, I look at the siege units, where it has the attack, defense, health, and then the base attack, defense, health, and then other buffs. All damage, skill damage, right? Those are, you're going to have some normal attack damage and some range skill damage, but those are the major ones that we're going to compare against. And what we do is I usually get slides, and I'll take a photo or screenshot and then I'll screenshot the other one next to it, and I go back and forth and see the difference. Okay. Another thing is when you're in a battle log, a lot of these depend on when your skill goes off. And that's what that asterisk on turn 10, where it says our side, it has like maybe it looks like a little sun or whatever it is. That indicates that's when your skill went off. And see where it's on the far left side, and it has temporary buffs right here. And it says turn 1. Okay, so it's showing you the skills that you have for turn 1. You click turn 10 or whatever it is, and the increase of whatever you have is there. And that's good to figure out, like I'll show you Barca in just a second, how you can tell how the damage increased when you're off territory. All right, so let's check out. Okay, the first one we did was Hannibal Barca. On the first skill here, you have War Elephants, and it has an AoE. The AoE will not work. It'll just probably do the 400 damage. You have, again, active skill, not going to work. Passive skill, 2 different unit types, 5 damage, 3 unit types, 10% damage. Passive skill, this does work, and I can show you how to figure that out. Siege, we're not taking anything over. We're not attacking anybody as far as cities, so not a big deal. Passive skill, unit capacity, that does work. Now, this says active skill, uses an active skill while outside of Alliance territory. 15% bonus to damage for 3 seconds. Now, I would tell you, this is the exception to the rule. Normally, this should not work, but it does. That's why I'm showing you how to figure it out. So you have to be outside of Alliance territory, have 3 different unit types, which I did, and I can show you where the 15% increase in damage is. Let's look at the battle reports, and I can show you between Margaret, solo, and Margaret with Bobber if you're getting all damage, right? So look at turn 1 here, okay? All you see is a speed buff and skill damage of 20%. Margaret with Hannibal, battle log, all damage, right? That 10% is already there. On turn 10, you see that little asterisk here shows you that our skill went off, right? And so now, on the next turn, we should do additional damage. Boom. See that? Look at here. It's 25, and that'll be 10. So we're up 15, which is his skill. Right here. The troop contains 3 or more different unit types. It deals 10%, which we knew. Where's the other one? Oh, here's the 15. This unit gains 10% unit capacity, which we knew. And whenever the troop uses an active skill while outside of Alliance territory, it gains 15% attack bonus for the next 3 seconds. So we'll have this for 3 turns. So that's 11. 12 has it. You see where the number changes here. 13 will have it. All right. And then now we're going to go to 14, and that all damage will change. Change like a lot. Oh, our ring. Oh, God, I did it with the ring on. I normally try to take it off when I do these, but that's why it went up the damage. Okay, now we know why. Okay, so now you can tell those skills work. Now let's look at YSG. Okay, YSG. The first one is an active skill. That's not going to do anything for us. Passive. Troop launches a basic attack. It has a 10% chance to gain range and gain 100% bonus to archer attack for 3 seconds. That shouldn't work. Right? This is a passive skill, but it's for attacking a city's garrison. We're not doing that. And 50% more skill damage. That'll work. And that's just going back to the AoE. Not going to work. Now here's another thing. Not only do we have to check their skills, but we're going to go into the museum. Let's go to the museum. So he can do archer defense. If you're running archer and all that gear, you'd get that extra defense. But then he gets 50% skill damage, potentially plus another 12, which is 62. But for me, I only have 5, so we should see a 55% increase in skill damage for me, right? Because mine only has 2 of the relics. 2 relic is 5%. If I used it more, then I would upgrade it, but right now I'm not. Now let's go here and check troop buffs. Okay, our skill damage right here is 2.5. Or when we go back right now, it should read 57.5 on skill damage. 57.5. Perfect. That's how you know your skill damage is being increased. So it works. So you get the 50% from his talent. And then for me, it's only 5% because of the museum buff. Okay, let's go through Alex and see what we get. Now, this is an active skill, so you're not going to get the benefit of shields flying around. If you thought you were going to put Alex as a secondary and everybody's getting shields, not going to happen. Passive skill, okay, this is looking good. Direct damage factor of 1700. No, not going to happen. Just ain't going to happen. Whenever a troop launches a basic attack, has a 10% chance. Remember we talked about that where it has a condition? This is a launch condition for a passive skill, not going to work. With that being said, there's a KVK where you can have attributes attached to your commander, right? And lead the charge is one of them. It does not work for siege. Go ahead, put it on, attack a barb, it'll never go off. I typed a VIP support and they said, well, it has to be in melee range. So I did that in V formation. Doesn't work. What they meant to say was, you can't be in V formation. Then it'll work. So if you're in V formation, this is never going to work. Okay, passive skill. 30% march speed and 30% attack. Ooh, that looks good. Wah, wah, wah. Not going to work. It's infantry march speed and infantry attack. So if you're rolling all infantry and you're using infantry gear, that may kind of work. Somebody would have to test that. I don't know. Does not have a shield, which you will never have a shield. 40% attack. Yes, 100% you will get that, and I will show you. Okay, let's also go check out the museum. We're at the museum, and let's look at the two different relics. Relic 1, defense 10, damage reduction 3%, and then infantry defense 20, normal damage reduction 6%. Museum commanders. Now, and I'm going to get into this later, but if you have a museum commander that is leadership, has a lot of potential. If you're okay with, some people have tried, and I never have, so this is why I'm giving you the caveat. I'm just explaining it. And I have a slide later, but I'm just going to go into it now since we're here. You look at YSG, you look at Minamoto, right? They have a lot of stats. If you're going to run all, like Cav gear, Cav armament, and you're using Minamoto as that secondary with all those stats, it might pop. Same with Charles Martel with infantry. Now, if you are looking at leadership just has the potential to crush it. You have Ethelfled that has some good stuff. Hannibal Barca sneaks in there with a couple stats. I mean, it's not crazy. But these are things that potentially could work for you. And I just wanted to point it out to you. Again, not meta, but a lot of people are trying things. Like I see people out there with, like they're using gathering commanders, thinking that their skills are going to pop off. And they don't have the engineering tag, so they're not going to pop off. Okay, next slide. Okay, possible commanders, leadership. Okay, this is what I'm talking about, right? You got Trajan, Mehmed, Caesar, Philip, who also has only one eye for some reason. Okay, these guys have potential, right? As a secondary. Again, I'm not saying meta, but leadership with museum has some potential, and the brand new leadership are so buffy. And again, if it applies to an all buff, like just stats, it has the potential to match up with a siege commander. I'm just saying that's who you're going to look for. If you're somebody who has a lot of stuff, a lot of field commanders maxed out, and you only have one siege commander, this is what you can think of, right? Obviously, you could go with the epic siege commander, but for whatever reason, this could work for you, right? If you wanted to. So I just want to point it out, and I'm going to do some future videos on leadership, infantry, calves, archers. I'm going to try it out and see what works. Now, in one of my videos, there was a comment by Horse Sense Today, and it says, use Martel with Bobber, infantry troops. Martel brings 100% of stats. Trust me, it slaps hard. And don't forget to use your infantry equipment and infantry stats in your V formation. It crushes. I have no idea if this works, right? But a lot of you guys out there are trying things. And when I get feedback like this, I want to push it out to you because I want to give you options. There's not a lot of us out here that are talking about siege. So I like to do videos where I know things like 100%. This is not that video, but it's helping you figure out what's best for you. And if you're getting into siege and you want to try some different combinations, hopefully this taught you how to do that. And then I'm going to start committing to doing videos on leadership commanders and showing you which stats are better than others. Like, I want to have fun with this. Same with infantry, calves, archers. Now, mind you, I've tried some of this stuff in the past where I went all calves, and I'm talking like all calves with cav gear, both cav commanders, and that trade is horrible. But if you're looking just to get a couple buffs out to help your other marches and you're okay with absolutely bad trades, then it could work for you. I know people that use some of these extra commanders, and I'm going to talk about one of these people on my future commander about pairing non-siege commander with siege just to get the buffs, knowing they're going to get bad trades on that specific commander, but it helps in the overall picture of getting kills. Okay. And before I forget, I figured it out is the title of this video. I only figured it out because somebody pointed it out to me. And it's the same person I'm going to do a highlight video on a siege commander, a siege player coming up. So, those are my final thoughts. Please, I know I've said it a couple of times, these are not meta commanders. This is just me telling you that there's certain conditions required to have skills usable or buffs usable on commanders. And so I've seen people just try all kinds of crazy combinations thinking it's going to work with their active skills. And I get it. One time I put Minamoto on because I was like, dude, this would be awesome if everybody can do additional damage, right? It doesn't work, right? Because it doesn't meet the requirements that I point out. Again, I'm sure there are exceptions to the rule, but this is a guideline to help you figure out what's going on. That's it. Please like and subscribe. I hope you appreciate the video. Range rocks.